The oven door slammed shut like a gunshot in the pre-dawn silence, jolting Travis awake on the lumpy couch in Arthur's cramped Brooklyn kitchen. Flour exploded across the air like fresh snow, coating the countertops and Travis's bare chest as Arthur cursed under his breath, his broad shoulders heaving with the kind of fury that only came from loving too hard and losing too quick. "Damn it all to hell," Arthur growled, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand, smearing the mess into something that looked dangerously like tears. But Travis knew better. Arthur didn't cry, not since the day his world cracked open like overbaked bread. Travis swung his legs off the couch, his dog tags clinking softly against his skin, a remnant from tours he'd rather forget. At 28, he was all lean muscle and quiet scars, the kind that hid under faded ink and forced smiles. He'd crashed at Arthur's place more nights than he could count, ever since that rainy Veterans Day when their paths crossed at the nursing home in Queens, Arthur with his trays of apple pie, Travis visiting ghosts he couldn't shake. But this morning felt different, heavier, like the air before a nor'easter rolls in off the Atlantic. "Artie, talk to me," Travis said, his voice rough from sleep and something deeper, something that twisted in his gut every time Arthur pulled away. Arthur didn't turn around. He just gripped the rolling pin like it was a lifeline, his knuckles white against the wood. 30. He was the picture of New York grit, tousled dark hair, a jaw that could cut glass, and eyes the color of Hudson River mud after a storm. Baking wasn't just a job for him. It was penance, a ritual baked into his bones by a grandfather who'd risen before dawn every day of his life to feed the forgotten. Old Man Harlan, Elias Harlan to the world, had been a World War II vet, a baker who'd turned his tiny shop in Astoria into a haven for soldiers coming home broken. And now, with Elias wasting away in that godforsaken nursing home, Arthur carried the torch, delivering fresh loaves to the vets every morning like clockwork. It was love. It was duty. It was the only thing keeping Arthur from unraveling. But last night, after Travis had kissed him slow and deep against the fridge door, whispering promises he wasn't sure he could keep, Arthur had found the letter. Tucked inside Elias's war chest, yellowed and brittle, addressed to someone named Jay, in a handwriting that trembled with secrets long buried. Travis watched as Arthur's back stiffened, the way his breath hitched like he'd been punched. "It's nothing," Arthur muttered finally, but his voice cracked, and Travis crossed the room in 2 strides, pulling him into a hug that smelled of yeast and regret. "It's not nothing, babe. You're shaking like a leaf." Travis's hands roamed Arthur's back. Familiar territory mapped by months of stolen nights, lazy Sundays in bed, Arthur's laughter echoing off the fire escape as they shared a joint, Travis's fingers tracing the tattoos that snaked up Arthur's arms like vines claiming a crumbling wall. They'd met 6 months ago, 2 lost souls orbiting the same pain. Travis, fresh out of the army after 2 deployments that left him with nightmares and a purple heart he never wore. Arthur, the golden boy of his immigrant family, who dropped out of culinary school to chase his grandfather's ghost. Their love was fireworks in a blackout, bright, explosive, but always one spark away from burning out. Arthur pulled back, his eyes locking onto Travis's with that intensity that made Travis's knees weak. "Grandpa's letter. It's from 1945. To some guy. Jeremiah. Maybe, says things. Things I never imagined." He thrust the paper into Travis's hands, the words blurring under the kitchen's harsh fluorescent light. "My dearest Jay, the bombs fell like judgment, but your touch was the only grace I knew. If we make it home, I'll bake you that rye you love, with caraway seeds from the fields we dreamed of. Don't let them take this from us. Yours in shadows. E. Travis read it twice, his throat tightening. Elias Harlan, the man who'd taught Arthur to knead dough with calloused hands and stories of D-Day beaches, had been in love with another soldier. A gay love, hidden in foxholes and coded letters, surviving the war only to be smothered by the American dream's suffocating embrace. Holy shit, Artie. This is huge. Travis's mind raced. Images of two young men stealing kisses in the ruins of Europe, hands clasped under wool blankets, hearts pounding to the rhythm of artillery fire. It humanized Elias in a way Travis had never expected, stripping away the stoic vet facade to reveal a man who'd loved fiercely, quietly, against all odds. Arthur sank onto a stool, burying his face in his hands. He never told anyone. Not me. Buried it all when he came home, married grandma like it was scripted. Built that bakery on lies. The weight of it crashed over him, the hypocrisy, the loneliness Elias must have carried like an extra rucksack. Arthur had always idolized his grandfather, the rock who'd immigrated from Ireland with nothing but a recipe book and a purple heart. Now, that rock was cracked, and Arthur felt the fissures in his own soul widening. How many times had he hidden his own truth, coming out at 22, disowned by his father for a month before Pride won out? Loving Travis in a world that still whispered faggot behind closed doors, even in progressive Brooklyn. Travis knelt before him, thumbs brushing Arthur's cheeks, wiping away the flower tear hybrid. Hey, this doesn't change him. It makes him real. Braver than any of us. Their foreheads touched, breaths mingling in the warm oven air. Travis could feel Arthur's pulse racing, a drumbeat echoing his own. This was them, raw, unfiltered, the kind of love that didn't come with instructions. But as the timer dinged for the first batch of scones, Arthur stood, steeling himself. I gotta deliver. The vets are waiting. Can't let them down. They moved in sync then, a well-oiled machine born of necessity. Travis helped pack the baskets, sourdough rounds studded with rosemary, blueberry muffins plump as summer promises, apple tarts flaky and golden. It was Arthur's routine, 4 a.m. Bake, 6 a.m. Drive to the nursing home in his beat-up Ford pickup, the cab filled with the scent of home. Travis tagged along sometimes, sitting shotgun with a thermos of black coffee, watching Arthur charm the old-timers with jokes and slices of pie. Today, though, the letter burned in Arthur's pocket like a live coal, every mile toward Queens twisting the knife deeper. The nursing home loomed on the edge of the industrial sprawl, a squat brick building with flags snapping in the wind, stars and stripes, Pauamae, a rainbow one faded from too many pride marches. Inside, the air hummed with the low murmur of lives winding down, wheelchairs creaking, oxygen tanks hissing, laughter punctuating the beeps of monitors. Arthur signed in at the desk, his smile automatic, but Travis caught the flicker in his eyes, the vulnerability he hid from everyone but him. Elias's room was at the end of the hall, a shrine to faded glory, framed medals on the wall, a photo of him in fatigues grinning beside a tank, a half-eaten scone from yesterday's delivery crumbling on the nightstand. The old man was dozing, 92 and frail as parchment, his once broad frame swallowed by the bed. Arthur set the basket down gently, pulling up a chair. Morning, Grandpa. Brought your rye today. Extra caraway, just how you like. Elias stirred, his eyes sharp as ever, fluttering open. They landed on Travis first, warming with that gruff affection. "Sarge," he rasped, using Travis's old nickname. "You keepin' this fool out of trouble?" Travis chuckled, squeezing the man's bony hand. "Trying, sir." "He's a handful." Arthur unpacked the bread, his movements deliberate, buying time. The letter weighed on him, a ghost demanding reckoning. Finally, he couldn't hold it. "Grandpa, I found something in your chest. From the war." To Jay, the room went still, the only sound the distant clatter of a lunch cart. Elias's face paled, then hardened, lines etching deeper like cracks in dry clay. "Should have burned it," he whispered, voice like gravel. "Ain't no one's business." "But it is mine," Arthur pressed, his voice breaking. "You loved him. Why hide it, all these years?" Elias turned away, staring at the window where autumn leaves danced in the breeze. Travis hovered in the doorway, heart pounding. This was Arthur's fight, but damn if it didn't feel like theirs. The old man's silence stretched, thick as fog over the East River, until he spoke, words tumbling out like dough from an overfilled bowl. "Jeremiah Kane. Irish like me, but with eyes like the cliffs of Maher, wild green, pullin' you under. We met in Basic, 42. Shared foxholes in Normandy, rations in the Ardennes. He was my shadow, my light in that hell." Elias's voice gained strength, memories flooding back. "After the war, we tried. Came home to New York, baked together in my ma's kitchen. Planned a life. Quiet, you know? But the world, it don't forgive men like us. Whispers, stares, jobs lost. Jay got drafted again for Korea, came back. Different. Shell-shocked. One night, he kissed me goodbye on the stoop, said he'd meet me at the bakery come dawn. Never showed." Arthur leaned forward, tears spilling now, unashamed. "What happened to him?" "Overdose, they said. Pills from the VA. But I knew. It was the weight of it all, the hiding, the pretending." Elias's hand trembled as he gripped Arthur's. "I married your grandma to fit in. Built the bakery on that lie. Baked for the vets to honor what we lost. But Jay, he was my heart. Still is." The confession hung in the air, a bridge across generations. Travis stepped closer, his own ghost stirring. Nights in the desert where he'd loved a squad mate in silence, only to bury him in a flag-draped coffin. This was bigger than them, a thread weaving through time. Arthur wrapped his arms around Elias, sobbing into the old man's shoulder, the scent of rye mingling with hospital antiseptic. "I love you, Grandpa." For all of it. As they left the room, baskets lighter but hearts heavier, Travis pulled Arthur into the alcove by the vending machines. "You're brave as hell. You know that." Their kiss was fierce, tasting of salt and sugar, a vow against the world's cruelties. But outside, under a sky bruising with clouds, Travis's phone buzzed. A text from his ex, the one who'd left him for normalcy, dredging up old wounds. Arthur saw the screen light up, and for a split second, doubt flickered in his eyes. Little did they know, that crack would widen into a chasm. The drive back to Brooklyn was a blur of rain-slicked streets and unspoken fears, the wipers slapping rhythmically like a heartbeat out of sync. Arthur gripped the wheel too tight, his mind replaying Elias's words on loop, shadows, grace, the fields we dreamed of. It was romantic, sure, the stuff of wartime epics, but laced with tragedy that clawed at Arthur's chest. He'd always seen his grandfather as unbreakable, a pillar of immigrant grit who'd kneaded life's blows into something nourishing. Now, Elias was human, flawed, and Arthur felt the echo of that pain in his own veins. Loving Travis wasn't just passion. It was defiance, a middle finger to the ghosts who'd silenced men like Jay. Travis slouched in the passenger seat, staring out at the graffiti-tagged warehouses blurring by. The text from Marcus, "Hey, miss you." Coffee? Burned in his pocket like a bad habit. Marcus, the ex who'd promised forever after a whirlwind romance in Fort Bragg, only to bail when Travis's PTSD turned their apartment into a minefield. "It's not you," Marcus had said, packing his bags under the Carolina sun. "It's the darkness you carry." Bullshit. It was fear, plain and simple, the fear of loving a man who'd stare down insurgents but flinch at a slammed door. Travis had rebuilt himself in New York, one therapy session at a time, until Arthur crashed into his life like a meteor, all fire and flower. But old flames had a way of flickering back, testing the new ones. "You okay?" Arthur asked, glancing over as they hit the Brooklyn Bridge, the skyline a jagged silhouette against the storm. Travis forced a grin, the one that hid everything. "Yeah, just thinking about Jay. Wonder if Elias ever went looking for him." Arthur nodded, his thumb drumming the gearshift. "After the war," he said he tried. Tracked rumors to a psych ward upstate, but by then, too late. The rain intensified, drumming on the roof like impatient fingers. They pulled into Arthur Street, a narrow lane of brownstones squeezed between a bodega and a hipster coffee shop that charged $12 for a latte. Home, such as it was. Arthur's place was a second-floor walk-up, rent-stabilized but cluttered with proofing racks and dog-eared cookbooks. It smelled like vanilla and varnish, the walls papered in faded floral from the 70s. Inside, they stripped off wet jackets, the air thick with the day's residue. Travis cornered Arthur against the counter, hands sliding under his shirt, seeking skin as solace. "Let me make you forget," he murmured, lips brushing Arthur's neck. Arthur melted into it, fingers tangling in Travis's hair, but his mind wandered to the letter, to Elias's haunted eyes, to the way Travis had stiffened at that text. Their lovemaking was urgent, bodies colliding like waves against a jetty, gasps echoing off the fire escape. Arthur arched beneath him, whispering Travis's name like a prayer, but as they lay spent in the tangle of sheets, doubt crept in like fog off the bay. The next morning dawned crisp, the kind of November chill that bit through denim. Arthur was up at 3, the kitchen alive with the symphony of his craft, mixers whirring, timers beeping, the oven's heat chasing away the dark. Travis watched from the doorway, nursing coffee, mesmerized by the ritual. Arthur in his element was poetry. Sleeves rolled to elbows, a smudge of butter on his cheek, moving with the grace of someone who'd inherited more than recipes from Elias. "You're staring," Arthur teased, sliding a warm biscuit his way. "Can't help it. You're sexier than sin at this hour." Travis bit into the biscuit, flaky layers yielding to cheddar and herbs, a burst of comfort on his tongue. It was these moments that anchored him, simple, real, far from the chaos of his past. But as Arthur packed the baskets, his phone lit up again. Marcus, calling this time. Travis silenced it, but not before Arthur saw the name. The air shifted, subtle as a dropped pin. "Who's that?" Arthur asked, casual but not quite. Nothing," Travis shrugged, but his jaw ticked. A tell Arthur knew too well. They drove in loaded silence, the nursing home's parking lot slick with fallen leaves. Inside, the vets greeted them like royalty, Mr. Kowalski with his Polish jokes, Mrs. Ramirez wheeling over for gossip, Elias waiting with a puzzle half done on his tray. Arthur distributed the goods with his trademark charm, but his laughs rang hollow. Travis hung back, chatting with a grizzled Korean War vet about MASH episodes, but his eyes tracked Arthur, noting the tension in his shoulders. After rounds, they slipped into Elias's room for coffee from the thermos, black as midnight, strong as regret. The old man eyed them shrewdly, the letter's shadow still lingering. "Found more in that chest?" he asked Arthur, who shook his head. "Just the one. But it got me thinking. About us. About hiding." Arthur's gaze flicked to Travis, heavy with implication. Elias chuckled, a wheeze that turned into a cough. "Boy, love like that don't hide easy. Simmers, waits for the right heat." He reached for a photo album, yellowed pages creaking open to grainy black and whites. Elias young and cocky in uniform, arms slung around a lanky redhead with a grin that lit the frame. Jeremiah. "We baked in secret, stole moments in the mess tent, flower fights to cover the kisses. Thought we'd beat the odds." Travis leaned in, tracing the image with a finger. "He looks happy. With you. We were. Till the world reminded us we weren't supposed to be." Elias closed the album, his voice dropping. "Don't make my mistakes, lads. Speak your truths before their ashes." The words landed like punches, stirring Travis's resolve. But as they left, Arthur's phone buzzed. His sister, frantic, "Dad found out about the letter. He's coming over. Now." Panic surged. Arthur's father, Big Mike Harlan, was old-school Irish Catholic, the kind who prayed the rosary and preached family values from a barstool. He'd tolerated Arthur's coming out with gritted teeth. But this, a family secret exposing their sainted patriarch as a deviant? It was dynamite. Back home, the storm broke. Mike burst through the door like a hurricane, face red as borscht, the letter clutched in his fist. "What the hell is this? Artie, your grandfather, a fairy? And you, waving it around like a flag? Dad, it's not." Arthur started, but Mike cut him off, jabbing a finger at Travis. "And you, bringing your soldier boy into this mess? This family's got enough shame." Travis stepped forward, calm as a sniper's breath. "Sir, with respect, Elias was a hero. This doesn't change that. It makes him more." Mike's eyes narrowed, booze on his breath from an early pint. "Heroes don't betray their vows. He married Ma, gave us all this." He swept an arm, encompassing the bakery legacy, the nursing home runs, the life built on silence. Arthur's voice rose, cracking with fury. "It was survival, Dad. Loving who he loved in a world that'd kill him for it. Just like Travis and me." "You," Mike barked a laugh, bitter. "You're playing house. Wait till it gets real." He stormed out, slamming the door, leaving echoes and Arthur trembling. Travis pulled him close, but Arthur shrugged him off, eyes wild. "See, this is what it costs. Secrets unravel everything." That night, Travis slipped out for air, ending up at a dive bar on Atlantic Avenue. The text from Marcus was a siren call. "I get it now. The dark. Let me help." One beer turned to 3, and before he knew it, Travis was spilling about Arthur, the letter, the fear gnawing at him. Marcus listened, hand on his knee, old sparks igniting. It was betrayal in slow motion, a crack widening. When Travis stumbled home at dawn, Arthur was baking furiously, dough slapping the board like accusations. "Where were you?" Arthur demanded, not looking up. "Clearing my head." The guilt twisted Travis's gut. They argued then, words flying like shrapnel about trust, about Marcus, about the weight of Elias's ghost pressing them down. "You're running, just like he did," Arthur shouted, tears streaming. Travis stormed out. The doors slam a punctuation on their fracture. Days blurred into a cold war. Arthur baked alone. Deliveries mechanical. Elias's questions met with shrugs. Travis crashed at a buddy's. Deployments of his own, job hunts, VA appointments, nights staring at the ceiling. But the pull was magnetic. On a whim, Travis dug into Jeremiah Kane public records, vet archives, a rabbit hole of faded ink and forgotten names. He found a grave in Calvary Cemetery, a simple stone, Jeremiah Kane, CPL, U.S. Army, beloved son. No mention of Elias. Just silence. Heart heavy, Travis drove to the nursing home unannounced, the autumn sun low and golden. Elias was in the garden, bundled in a shawl, feeding breadcrumbs to sparrows. "Sarge," he greeted, eyes twinkling. "Come to fix what you broke?" Something like that. Travis sat, pulling out a printout, a photo from the archives. Jay and Elias side by side in 45, arms linked, grins defiant. "Found this. Thought you should have it." Elias's hand shook as he took it, tracing Jay's face. God, he was beautiful. A tear escaped, the first Travis had seen. "Tell Artie. Tell him to fight for you." Like we couldn't. Travis nodded, resolve hardening. But as he left, his phone buzzed. "Arthur. Need you. Come home." The plea cracked him open. He raced back, bursting into the kitchen where Arthur stood, apron dusted white, eyes red-rimmed. "Forgive me," Travis whispered, crossing the room. Arthur met him halfway, their embrace a dam-breaking, kisses salty with apologies, hands mapping forgiveness. But in the quiet after, as they lay entwined, Travis's secret simmered. Marcus had texted again, "One drink. For old times." The temptation was a whisper, but whispers grew to roars. Winter crept in like an uninvited guest, frosting the windows of Arthur's brownstone and turning the nursing home runs into a gauntlet of ice-slick roads and chapped hands. The letter had thawed something in Elias, though his stories flowed freer now, snippets of Jay woven into tales of foxholes and filched chocolate. Arthur listened rapt during deliveries, Travis at his side when he could swing it, their reconciliation a fragile bridge rebuilt on late-night talks and shared shifts at the bakery. Arthur had expanded the morning runs into a full pop-up stand outside the home, hot cider, gingerbread men shaped like dog tags, a way to honor Elias's legacy without the lies. Business boomed, locals lining up in parkas for Arthur specials, vets getting first dibs with a nod and a free scone. Travis pitched in on weekends, his military precision turning chaos into assembly lines, barking orders with a grin that made Arthur's heart stutter. "Yes, chef," he'd salute, winking as he iced cookies, flour wars erupting in playful retaliation. Their love reignited hotter, bodies rediscovering rhythms lost to doubt, slow mornings tangled in flannel sheets, Arthur's head on Travis's chest, listening to the steady thump that drowned out the world's noise. But Marcus lingered like a bad aftertaste. Travis deleted the texts, blocked the number, but the what-ifs gnawed. What if Arthur couldn't handle the dark days? What if the PTSD flares turned him into a stranger again? He threw himself into research, volunteering at the VA's LGBTQ vet support group, sharing Elias's story anonymized. A baker and a soldier, loving in the margins. The men there nodded, scars mirroring his own, and it knit him tighter to Arthur, who beamed with pride at every meeting recap. One frosty December eve, after a grueling bake-a-thon for the home's holiday party, they collapsed on the couch with takeout lo mein and a bottle of bourbon. The TV flickered with It's a Wonderful Life, George Bailey's despair hitting too close. Arthur fed Travis a forkful of noodles, sauce dripping comically. "You're my angel getting its wings," he joked, but his eyes were serious, searching. Travis swallowed, the warmth spreading. "Nah, you're the one earning M. That pop-up? You're changing lives. Artie." Elias sees it. He pulled out the photo from his pocket, the one of Jay and Elias, now framed in reclaimed wood from the bakery's scrap. "Gave this to your grandpa last week," he cried. "Said it was like getting Jay back for Christmas." Arthur's face softened, fingers tracing the glass. "You're too good for me, Sarge." Their kiss deepened, bourbon sweet and urgent, clothes shedding like old skin. In the fire escape's glow, they moved together, whispers of "I love you" punctuating the night. A vow renewed, fragile but fierce. The high tide of their bliss crashed on New Year's Eve. Arthur's pop-up had swelled into a full event. Twinkling lights strung across the nursing home lawn, a brass band playing Glenn Miller, vets in wheelchairs toasting with spiked eggnog. Arthur manned the ovens in a tent, sweat beading under his Santa hat, Travis hauling trays like a one-man supply line. Elias presided from a throne-like armchair, regaling grandkids with sanitized war yarns, the photo of Jay tucked in his lapel like a hidden medal. As midnight neared, the crowd chanted the countdown, fireworks blooming over the skyline. Arthur found Travis amid the throng, pulling him under the mistletoe rigged from bakery twine. "To us," Arthur murmured, their kiss lost in cheers. But as the clock struck, Travis's phone vibrated in his pocket. Not a text, but a call from an unknown number. He ignored it, but the second buzz pulled him aside. It was Marcus, voice slurred from some party. "Travis, man, I saw your post about the vet group. Proud of you. But I need to see you. One last time. For closure." The words slithered, tempting the fracture. Travis hung up, heart hammering, but the seed was planted. Doubt, that old enemy. January brought blizzards that buried the city, confining them to the brownstone with cabin fever and cabin heat. Arthur experimented with recipes, lavender shortbread for Valentine's, inspired by Jay's letters mentioning Provençal fields, while Travis job hunted, landing interviews at security firms that valued his service. Nights were for board games and bootleg movies, laughter echoing as they built a fort from couch cushions, hiding from the world. But the call festered. Travis confessed over pancakes one Sunday, voice low. Marcus reached out. I shut it down, but it stirred shit up. Arthur's fork paused midair, syrup dripping. Why tell me now? Hurt flickered. Because I don't want secrets between us. Not after Elias. Travis reached across, but Arthur pulled back, the air icing over. Secrets like what? You thinking of going back? Accusation laced the words, born of fear. No, God, no. Travis stood, pacing. It's just. He knew me before the breaks. Before I was whole. Arthur's laugh was sharp, wounded. And I'm the fixer-upper? Thanks. He stormed to the kitchen, slamming cabinets, the familiar fury rising. Travis followed, apologies tumbling, but the damage stuck like burnt sugar. They patched it with time. Fierce make-up sex that left bruises and balm, promises etched in skin. But the rift lingered, a hairline fracture. Arthur threw himself into the bakery, expanding deliveries to other homes, his days a whirl of dough and dawn. Travis attended more VA sessions, the group's stories mirroring Elias's. Loves lost to don't ask, don't tell, hearts mended in hindsight. Spring teased with crocuses pushing through concrete, and with it came revelation. During a routine visit, Elias handed Arthur a tin box, rusted from attic exile. The rest, he croaked, weaker now, chemo for a late-diagnosed cancer sapping his fire. Inside, more letters, Jay's handwriting bold and looping, photos of stolen weekends in the Catskills, a pressed wildflower brittle as memory. And at the bottom, a ring simple gold band, engraved E and J forever. Arthur's breath caught, the weight of it crashing. Grandpa, you kept this. For you, lad. To show it's worth the fight. Elias gripped his hand, eyes gleaming. Jeremiah proposed under the stars. I said yes. Then the world said no. Travis, witnessing from the doorway, felt the echo in his bones. That night, over dinner, roast chicken and Jay's rye, Arthur shared the trove. They poured over it by lamplight, laughter mingling with tears. Jay's doodles of baguettes shaped like hearts, letters promising a bakery in Vermont. Just us, no hiding. It was romantic, gut-wrenching, a blueprint for their own fragile dream. Inspired, Arthur planned a surprise, a road trip to the Catskills, tracing Elias and Jay's steps. They loaded the truck with picnic baskets, fresh focaccia, berry tarts, and hit the road, windows down, spring air whipping their hair. The drive was therapy, Miles melting Marcus's shadow, Arthur's hand in Travis's a constant. The cabin was as the photos promised. Sagging porch, wildflowers rioting in the yard. They hiked to the overlook, the same ridge where E and J had carved initials into a birch. Arthur traced them, faded but enduring. This is us, he said, turning to Travis. Carving our story. Travis dropped to one knee, pulling a ring from his pocket. Not gold, but titanium, etched with a tiny loaf. Marry me, Artie. Let's bake our forever. Tears streamed as Arthur tackled him. Yes, tumbling in kisses. Joy crested, pure and piercing. But on the drive home, euphoria cracked. Travis's phone, left on the dash, lit with a voicemail from Marcus. Saw the engagement buzz online. Congrats. But if it crashes, you know where to find me. Arthur heard it play, the words a venom dart. Betrayal bloomed, hot and immediate. You told him? About us? Arthur's voice shook, the truck swerving slightly. No, I swear. But the lie showed in Travis's eyes, the half-truth of the VA post Marcus had seen. The argument erupted at a rest stop, words weaponized. How could you? It meant nothing, like the letters, hiding till it hurts. Arthur drove home alone, Travis tailing in a rental, the ring heavy in his pocket. Back in Brooklyn, Silence reigned. Arthur baked through the pain. Loaves denser, flavors muted. Travis crashed on the couch. The distance a chasm. Elias sensed it during visits. His health fading faster, urging reconciliation with fading whispers. Don't waste it, boys. Life's too short for what-ifs. The climax brewed at the bakery's first anniversary bash. A spring fair in the nursing home lot. Bands and booths. Elias as guest of honor. Arthur manned the stall. Crowds thick, but his smiles were ghosts. Travis arrived late, ring box burning, determined to salvage. But Marcus was there, uninvited, crashing the periphery, nursing a beer and eyes on Travis. The confrontation hit at dusk. Under the string lights, Marcus cornered Travis by the cider press. You look good. Happy. But we both know it won't last. Back off, Travis growled. But doubt flickered, Marcus's touch a memory's echo. Arthur saw it unfold. The intimate lean, the shared laugh. Heart-shattering, he strode over, voice steel. Get out. He's mine. Marcus smirked, leaving with a shrug. But the damage was nuclear. You let him in? Here? After everything? Arthur's scream drew stares. Vets murmuring. It was nothing. He showed up. Travis pleaded, but Arthur's walls slammed up. Like Jay showing up in your head every time it gets hard? The accusation landed, cruel in truth. Arthur fled to Elias's room, collapsing in sobs as the old man held him, whispering, Fight fair, son. Love's not the enemy. Travis followed, the door a portal to reckoning. I screwed up. But I choose you. Every damn time. He knelt, ring out. Forgive me, Elias watched, eyes wise. That's the question, Artie. Can you? The fair's lights twinkled mockingly through the window, a carnival of color against the sterile white of Elias's room, where time seemed to hang suspended like dough rising too slow. Arthur sat on the bed's edge, the ring box clutched in his fist like a grenade pin, pulled but not thrown. Travis hovered by the door, face etched with the kind of regret that aged a man overnight. Lines deepening around his eyes, the soldier's posture slumping under civilian weight. Elias, propped on pillows, his once vital frame now a whisper of itself, bridged them with a frail hand extended to each. Sit, both of you. Before I go kickin' ghosts myself. They obeyed, the bed dipping under their weight, a trinity bound by blood and choice. Arthur's thumb worried the box's velvet, the proposal inside now tainted, promise wrapped in poison. How do I trust this? He whispered, voice raw from shouting, from silent screams in the shower that morning. Every time I look at you now, I see him. Marcus. The backup plan. Travis winced, the truth a blade twisting. There is no backup, Artie. He's the past, messy, broken. You're the future I fight for. His hand covered Arthur's, warm and steady, calluses from boot camp rough against the baker's softness. Remember the Catskills? That birch tree? Our initials are there now, carved deep. That's real. Elias cleared his throat, a rattle that silenced them. Real as Jay and me. We had our trees, our rings. But we let fear carve deeper. He pulled the tin box from his nightstand, letters spilling like autumn leaves, faded ink confessions, a lock of red hair tied with twine. Jeremiah was my North Star. After Korea took him, I wandered. Married your grandma, Artie. Good woman, God rest her, but it was half a life. Baked to forget, delivered to remember. Don't do that, boys. Don't bake over the cracks. Arthur's eyes welled, the parallels a mirror he couldn't shatter. His father, Mike, had shown up earlier that week, hat in hand, the letter's sting softened by time and a few too many at the VFW. Your grandpa was a good man, Mike had grumbled, clapping Arthur's shoulder. Loved hard. Like you, it was absolution, grudging but genuine, a Harlan men mending fences. But this with Travis felt bigger, a love that demanded everything or nothing. I want to believe you, Arthur said finally, voice cracking. But the doubt is like yeast gone bad. Ruins the whole batch. Travis leaned in, forehead to Arthur's, breaths sinking in the quiet hum of monitors. Then let me prove it. Every day. Starting now. He took the box, flipping it open, the titanium band glinting like a challenge. Marry me, Arthur Harlan. Not despite the mess, but because of it. The room held its breath. Elias's eyes twinkled, a faint smile playing. Arthur searched Travis's face, those hazel depths stormy as the Atlantic, but clear now, stripped bare. Yes, he breathed, slipping the ring on, cool metal warming to skin. But no more ghosts. We faced them together. Their kiss sealed it, soft and certain, Elias's chuckle a benediction. Attaboy. Now, we'll me out there. I want to see the fireworks. The fair had wound down, but stragglers lingered. Vets swapping stories over cooling pie, families packing blankets. Arthur pushed Elias's chair to the center, Travis trailing with a slice of wedding cake prototype, lemon chiffon, light as hope. Cheers erupted as they announced the engagement, hugs and backslaps flowing like cider. Mike even cracked a smile, toasting with plastic cup raised. To the Harlans and whatever the hell you call this one. Laughter rippled, healing. But joy's shadow is grief, and Elias's decline accelerated with spring's bloom. Cancer, the silent invader, gnawed relentlessly. Hospital stays blurred into home hospice, the brownstone's kitchen converted to a sickroom of beeping machines and broth pots. Arthur baked less, Travis more, taking over runs, infusing Travis's precision into scones that rose perfect, flavors bold. Their love deepened in the vigil, hands clasped over 4 lines, stories shared in whispers, Travis's desert nights, Arthur's culinary school dreams deferred. One humid June afternoon, as thunder rumbled distant, Elias gathered them close. The room smelled of chamomile tea and fading strength, sunlight slanting gold through curtains. Got one last secret, he rasped, nodding to the tin. Deeds in there. The bakery yours now, Artie. But expand it. For Jay. Make it a haven. Arthur choked, tears hot. Grandpa, and you, Sarge, keep him honest. Love him fierce. Elias's gaze sharpened, piercing. Jeremiah's ring. Wear it with yours. Honor us all. Travis nodded, slipping the gold band onto his thumb. A dual vow. Elias sighed, content, eyes drifting shut. He slipped away at dusk, the storm breaking overhead, rain lashing windows like applause, thunder a final salute. Arthur wailed, Travis holding him through the night, their grief a forge tempering sorrow to steel. The funeral was a spectacle of solidarity. Nursing home vets in dress blues, if they fit, the pop-up stand serving Elias's rye to a line stretching blocks. Mike eulogizing with whiskey-rough voice. He baked for the broken. Lived for the lost. Arthur spoke last. Voice steady. Grandpa taught me love's the best ingredient. Hidden sometimes, but always rising. Travis stood sentinel. Ring glinting. Marcus a faded footnote. Summer sweltered. Their wedding planning a whirlwind small. On the nursing home lawn. Under that birch tree spirit. Arthur designed the cake. 7 tiers. Each a story. Normandy chocolate. Ardennes apple. Brooklyn blueberry. Travis handled vows. Simple. In shadows and light. I choose you. But conflict simmered anew. The bakery boomed post-Elias. Media sniffing the gay vet love story angle interviews. A Times piece titled Dough and Defiance. Fame brought vultures. An investor eyeing expansion. Mike pushing for family branding. And worst, Marcus resurfacing via email. Saw the article. Inspiring. Coffee? For the book I'm writing on queer vets. Travis deleted it, but Arthur found the draft in trash. Unseen, but damning in implication. Another ghost? He accused one sticky night. After a tasting menu left them wine loose. I trashed it, Travis protested, but exhaustion frayed edges. Why can't you trust me? Because trust is earned, not baked. Arthur hurled a spatula, clattering harmlessly. The fight escalated. Old wounds reopened. Elias's death a fresh scar. You're always 1 foot out, and you're suffocating me with doubt. Travis roared, storming to the fire escape. City lights blurring through tears. Alone, Arthur sank to the floor, the ring heavy. Dawn found them reconciling in fragments, coffee black, apologies bitter. But the investor meeting loomed, a crossroads. Sell out for security, or stay true to the haven Elias dreamed. Travis advocated risk. Build the queer vet cafe. Honor J. Arthur wavered, Mike's voice echoing caution. Tension peaked at the pitch. A slick boardroom in Midtown. Suits droning ROI. Arthur choked mid-presentation. Elias's ring now on a chain, burning against his chest. No, he said, standing. It's not for sale. It's for them. They left hand in hand, the rejection a liberation. But outside, Marcus waited, leather jacket, smirk intact. Heard you turned down millions. Noble. But predictable. Travis's fist clenched. Leave, Marcus. For good. Arthur stepped forward. Voice ice. He's right. We're done with backups. Marcus slunk away, the street swallowing him. Relief washed, but Arthur turned to Travis. Eyes searching. No more. Never. Their kiss was public. Defiant, a stake in Manhattan soil. Autumn returned like a faithful friend. Leaves carpeting the nursing home lawn in crimson and gold. The air crisp with the promise of change. The wedding was set for October. A harvest affair. Hay bales for pews. Lanterns strung like fireflies. The pop-up ovens firing pies for the feast. Arthur and Travis dove in. Their rift mended stronger, counseling at the VA. Date nights at Coney Island, where Travis won Arthur a stuffed bear at the ring toss, dubbing it Juniper for the wildflower in Elias's letters. Laughter came easier. Touches lingered. The ring's twin sentinels against doubt. The bakery evolved too, rebranded Harlan's Haven. A non-profit arm funding vet scholarships. Walls lined with Jay's photos and guest books for stories shared. Vets gathered for dough and dialogue nights. Baking bread while bearing souls. Tales of foxhole romances. Don't ask era discharges. Loves reclaimed in twilight years. Mike volunteered. Gruff but growing. Flipping scones with Travis and muttering. Not bad, soldier. Arthur watched it unfold. Elias's spirit in every need, every laugh. Yet, as leaves fell, so did whispers of trouble. The investor, spurned, spread rumors, zoning violations, health code nitpicks, forcing inspections that drain time and cash. Arthur burned out, batches flat, snapping at suppliers. Travis shouldered more, but his own demons stirred. Nightmares of sand and screams, waking slick with sweat, pushing Arthur away in the dark. One stormy eve, after a code violation fine hit like a gut punch, they unraveled in the kitchen. Arthur hurled a proofing basket, loaves tumbling like fallen soldiers. "We're drowning. Should have sold." Travis caught his wrists, voice thunder. "No. This is Elias's fight. Our fight." But his eyes betrayed fatigue, the ring on his thumb glinting accusation. "You say that, but I see you scrolling job sites. Ready to bolt when it sinks." Arthur's words were knives, honed by fear. Travis recoiled, the truth too near. "I'm here, but yeah, I'm scared. For us. For you carrying this alone." The silence roared, rain lashing pains. Arthur deflated, sinking to the flour-dusted floor. "I'm terrified too. Of losing it all. Of losing you." Travis joined him, backs to cabinets, hands linking. "Then let's fight together. Not against each other." They talked till dawn. Fears unpacked like ingredients, measured and mixed into resolve. Travis reached out to the vet group for legal aid. Arthur rallied donors with a Save the Haven bake sale, flooding socials with Elias's story. The climax crested mid-October, wedding week. A final inspection loomed, the investor's last jab, a trumped-up fire code violation threatening shutdown. Arthur paced the brownstone, vows half-written, cake tears wilting in the fridge. Travis, ever the tactician, pulled strings. A VA lawyer, a news crew from the Times piece. The showdown was in the bakery's back room, inspector clipboard in hand, investor smirking from the corner. "Unsafe wiring. Overcrowding. Close it down," the man droned. Travis stepped up, documents fanned. "Here's the compliance report. And this petitions from 500 vets. This place isn't just a bakery. It's sanctuary." The inspector faltered, flipping pages. Arthur, bolstered, added, "My grandfather built this on love. Hidden, yeah, but unbreakable. Like us." His hand found Travis's, rings clinking a quiet defiance. Cameras rolled as the inspector relented. Violation dismissed. The investor slunk out, tail between legs. Cheers erupted outside, where wedding guests mingled early vets. Family, the group from Doe and Dialogue. The ceremony unfolded under a birch sapling planted in Elias's honor, leaves rustling benediction. Mike walked Arthur down the aisle, grumbling pride. Vows rang true, Arthur's. "You rose my dough, sweetened my bitter. I'll bake our days with you." Travis's, "In foxholes and kitchens. You're my grace. I choose us, shadows and all." The kiss drew whoops. Pie served under stars. Rye for the toasts. Tarts for the dances. Marcus was absent. A ghost exorcised. Instead, a surprise. A letter from Jay's nephew, unearthed via Travis's digs. A thank you. A photo of Jay's grave adorned with Harlan loaves yearly. "He spoke of you," it read. "His baker. His forever." Tears flowed. Toasts raised to Elias and Jay. To love's enduring. The night wove magic, slow dances to Sinatra, Travis dipping Arthur under lanterns, laughter echoing into autumn dark. Months later, Haven thrived, expansions funded by a cookbook, baked in shadows, proceeds to queer vet causes. Arthur and Travis honeymooned in Vermont, scouting bakery sites, a quiet dream realized, far from city clamor. Mornings there, dawn bakes, hands dusted white, love kneaded fresh. Years folded like pastry layers. They adopted a rescue mutt, named Kane. Mike softened into grandpa duties, telling grandkids sanitized J-tales. Travis taught baking classes at the VA. Arthur catered pride floats. Their love, tested and tempered, became legend, whispered in nursing homes, baked into every loaf. In quiet evenings, by the Catskills cabin they'd bought, they'd trace their tree's initials, rings glinting in firelight. "We made it," Arthur would murmur, head on Travis's shoulder. Travis kissed his temple. Baking secrets, every day, and in the rising dough of their life. No shadows lingered, only light, warm and whole.